Hi, it is Friday night, October 27th, 2022. I just had a very busy day, and it's actually been a very busy 3 weeks, if you can imagine that. I had to do an eviction of my sister and my mother, and for those of you who may not know, I'll just very quickly and briefly explain what happened. Back in July, when the air conditioner went out, didn't work anymore, it was going to be $10,000 to replace it. And so my mother and my sister both said they do not want to spend the $10,000. They're just going to move back to California. And so the decision was to sell the house. I said, okay, fine. But in order to sell the house, you, especially in Arizona in July, or any house, regardless, you have to have a working air conditioner. I said, so can you please pay for the air conditioner? And then when we sell the house, the proceeds from the sale of the home will go back to you. Some of the proceeds will go back to you. It's my inheritance, by the way. Will go back to you to pay for the air conditioner. They said, oh, okay, that's fine. So I put the house on the market with 72 sold. And with 72 sold, they have a strict policy or rule or whatever that once you sign a contract, you are on the hook for the commission, even if you cancel the contract. It's to prevent people from having them find the investor for them to sell their home, or to buy their home, I should say, and then canceling the contract and doing a for sale by owner and avoid paying the 5% commission, which in this case would have been close to $18,000. So after signing that contract, my sister said to me, we've decided not to move to California. Don't sell the house. And I said, but you guys both agreed, and I made sure, and I asked like several times, are you certain you want to sell the house? And the answer each time was yes. I committed to this contract that I am now on the hook for about $18,000. Plus now I also have to pay for a $10,000 air conditioning because they also reneged on the purchase of the air conditioner by fronting the money. So I put it on my credit card. So all of a sudden I find myself on the line for approximately $28,000. And in a little bit, I'll tell you additional monies that I'm spending. So this is costing me almost $30,000 now. And so I had to go forward with the eviction because they refused to believe that I had a contract that I was going to have to pay this large amount of money. So the eviction process, and I can only speak to the Chandler court system, Chandler, Arizona, and in Arizona, in Maricopa County, I only know that process, which I'm probably going to assume is pretty normal process for anywhere else in this country. But the reason why I'm doing this video is because the court system, or the people who work within the court system, could not articulate how the eviction process goes. And I'm thinking it's not an uncommon process, because I had to go to court, and just kind of going out of order here a little bit. When I was in court, which is on a telephone call now, because of COVID, they found that was the easier way to do it. There were 30 plaintiffs trying to evict their tenants. And they do this every Tuesday and Thursday. So every week there's at least 60 or more, I don't know, plaintiffs evicting their tenants. So it's a relatively common process, I would imagine. But yet nobody within the court system was able to articulate the process. So I had to learn it all on myself, kind of going into the dark, if you will, and learn it as I went. And so I'm making this video to kind of help those out there who might have to go through an eviction process within the state of Arizona, and maybe even just Maricopa County, so that you kind of know what the process is. Okay, first, you have to file the summons with the complaint. You have to file the summons with your court. And for me, that was in Chandler Justice Court, and that was $63 to file the summons. Okay. Then you get a court date, which is about a week and a half out. They were able to schedule those relatively quickly because they know that there's time time is of the essence in the eviction process, because they have people in a home or a condo or whatever, and the owner's not getting paid, and so they know the owner wants to be able to get those people out quickly so they can turn around and release it or sell it. Okay. So my court date was 7 calendar days later, and my sister and mother, who were named in the summons, failed to appear. So I won my court case by default. So I got a judgment against them. The judgment was emailed to them within 2 hours of the court hearing. So on that date, I get what they call a writ date, or a writ of restitution. That is the date where the tenant must be out of the home, or else they are to be considered trespassing. Well, 5 days after that writ date, if they're still in the home, they are legally trespassing. So I can go back to the court if they have not moved out of the home yet and pay an additional $115 to get what I call a writ of restitution, or what I call that. They call it, the courts call it, a writ of restitution, which means that I have the constable, and if those don't know what a constable is, I hope I'm not insulting anybody. I didn't really know what it was until I went through this process. It's basically the police officer of the court. It's a police officer that has a little bit more legal pull, and that $115 puts my complaint on his schedule, so to speak, or on notice that I'm going to be contacting him to have him come to the home and forcibly remove, so to speak, the tenant. So I called the constable, and I was asked first, did you hire a locksmith? I'm like, no, because I was told by the court, the person who works at the court, that while he's evicting your tenants, he will be changing the locks. That's exactly what they said. He will be changing the locks. So I thought he comes with a new lock and changing it. No, he is actually the locksmith. So I had to hire a locksmith. And the locksmith had to be there at the same exact time as the constable. And the constable says, these are the times that I have. And I have a very short window of opportunity and very few days to do it. I was given 48 hours to hire this locksmith. So anyway, I got the locksmith there. We changed the locks, and it cost me $309 to change the locks on the front door. There was a front storm door, so to speak, right? And then the house door. And of course, there was a deadbolt and doorknob, deadbolt and doorknob. So there was 4 locks that had to be changed, which ended up costing me $309. Fabulous. So the constable told them to leave. They were gone within 50 minutes or so. The locksmith was finished approximately 15 more minutes, so the whole process took about an hour and a half or at the most. And then the constable said to me, I would make sure you are reading about the tenant-landlord laws in Arizona so that you don't get yourself in trouble. I said, okay. And I said, could you maybe tell me? He goes, I can't tell you. You need to read it yourself. I thought he was being sarcastic, but I found out later he cannot tell me anything because that would be a conflict of interest, because it could be construed as he's telling me how to do something to help me and hurt the tenant. So he had to remain non-partisan, I guess, what do you want to call it. So the law in Arizona is very clear. In Arizona revised statutes say they have the constable has removed those people. They have 5 calendar days to make arrangements with the owner to return to collect their contents. If they do not come back within those 5 days, then I have the right at that point, the owner does, to remove the contents and put it into storage for 14 more days. The reason why we have those additional 2 weeks in storage is that way the house isn't sitting kind of in a stalemate, if you will, where I can't do anything. So now I can move the furniture out and put it into storage so that I can prepare my home to be released or sold. However, that is an additional expense that I was not wanting to incur, although the law does state that the tenants must pay the cost of moving, the movers, right? If I used any movers to go from the house to the storage facility, and the cost of the storage facility rental before they can have access to the storage unit to remove their contents. Well, I didn't want to incur that cost, so my storage unit became the home. So I allowed myself an additional 14 days to not be able to do anything in that house. It just sat there for 2 more weeks while I waited out the legal process. So after the 14th day, on the 15th day, which was yesterday, I have legal right to all the contents because ownership transfers from them to me. So 100% of the contents in that home became my legal possessions. So between yesterday and today, I went in there and cleaned like a you-know-what and got rid of all the contents into trash dumpsters and garbage bags and stuff like that. And then hired a mover from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. And they have this truck that looks like a dumpster that's attached to a truck, right? So it's about maybe 10 feet long, 8 feet tall, and I think 5 or 6 feet wide. So it's a decent sized truck, but not by any means a big U-Haul size, okay? It's a little bit smaller than the small U-Haul. So it doesn't hold a lot. So I ended up using 3 of their trucks at $700 per truckload. And they were very, very nice to me. They charged me for 2 truckloads because I told them that it's cost me already a lot of money and I cannot afford. Actually, I've maxed out 4 credit cards and my credit score is now below 600. I won't tell you how low it's gone, but once upon a time, like maybe a month ago, it was in the low 700s, okay? Because my credit usage is now, what before today was at 77%, and now it's probably at 99%, which kills the credit score. But anyway, I'll fix that when we sell the house. So they were very nice to me, the 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and they charged me just for 2 truckloads because they knew I needed to get that stuff out. And instead of charging me $2,100, I was charged $1,400. So that is pretty much the process that one might go through in Arizona or just Maricopa County, Arizona, from trying to evict their tenants. And I hope this information for anybody who finds themselves in this situation, this very unfortunate situation, they know what to expect because I clearly didn't. Each step along the way was a new exposure to what has to happen. And each step along the way costs me more money. So anyway, that's the story. And I'll talk to you guys soon on Facebook. Okay? Bye-bye.